You brought up Kmart, and a few years ago, maybe if you went to Kmart, there would be less technology. A very nice question to ask is, why did Walmart clean Kmart's clock in terms of retail in the United States? And the answer is a whole lot of application of fundamental engineering analysis and development to their logistics chain, to their supply chain, to their transportation network. What is one of the bigger companies investing in more fuel-efficient transportation fleets? It's Walmart. It's not, Walmart is simply not a company who goes to China and uses the fact that it's so big to squeeze margins. Yes, they do that. That's also a good part of business practice. But they are a company that has applied technology systematically throughout their existence as a way to wring margin out of their business. And by doing that, allow themselves the capability to sell things at lower prices and capture market share and ultimately dominate the market and become the largest employer this week still. I'm not sure, but the largest employer in the United States.
Walmart probably is the single largest factor in the acceptance of barcodes throughout industry, and because they required every supplier to have barcodes that met their standards so they could monitor logistics, the inventories, and track the performance of different parts, how they were selling so they could restock the shelves faster. When all the other companies had to do that for Walmart, they started doing it for other companies. But they were very much aware of that technology and how it applied. And I have to say this too in defense of
Kmart. In defense of Kmart. Chapter 2 of our discussion.
No, I think that's a panel later.
You start to, I just transferred with Coca-Cola, and what you start realizing is that the number of feet of shelf space is due entirely to the amount of profit that's generated out of every foot. You can go into the stores, look at how many feet of shelf space are in pet foods. Okay? And then look what's closest to the register. You know, people actually pay to have their goods put closer to the register. Some cigarettes and things of that sort. They're actually give backs to the companies to let their products be there so they can be sold more. There's a lot of science. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of it, but if you walk into a store and you see Dole pineapple or some major brand, it's going to be at eye level. When you put your hand out at hand level, it'll be the store brand. And the odds are you won't even think about it when you put it in your basket. They understand. All the sales are in the back of the store. You've got to walk through the aisles. You know, as people walk through the aisles, their eye blink rate slows, almost to the point of being hypnotized. And the eye blink rate does not go back up until you get the register. When it goes into panic, you watch the points going like this, when people see the bills being run up. That's all part of the science of selling. It's engineering. It's great.
I guess just one last thing. Just relating back to what we do at Linebridge today. Our largest customer is Microsoft, and our core business is translating content and applications for customers like Microsoft. So you touch Microsoft Word into Japanese or Google into Chinese versions of these products, that's us. We're doing that for them. So Bill Gates about 4 years ago said the next $1 billion, billion users, or he calls billion eyeballs, would be fueling the growth of Microsoft. And so which basically meant, if you do the math, Microsoft products are used out of 6 or 6.5 billion people in the world. Microsoft has about 1.5 billion reach for their products. So another billion is essentially almost doubling their growth. And what that meant for us is a huge market opportunity, because we are obviously taking them global into those markets. But what they weren't willing to do is pay for every single language. Maltese, was another language. But, they're not going to pay like they did for French or Italian and German, because that's a bigger market. So how do you then apply technology to rather than engage a Maltese translator, brute force translate the word product into Maltese? You just can't afford that, right? So that's where the technology comes into play. And now what we do is effectively translate every single non-primary language, all these extended languages, using what we call machine translation. And then we verify it using individuals as opposed to translating it with people. So sometimes you really have to think about how technology can change your model rather than just trying to do it the same old way with scale with the human force. And so it's really a combination of the two that allows you to do that.
No, I think it's striking to me that what we're hearing, the examples we're hearing as you guys went through sort of your career arcs, and even these examples are things like sales. They're not they're not traditional sort of what you would expect engineers to work on. In a lab, they develop a product. The product is developed. They sell the product. These are things like retail. They're things like sales. They're things like translations. It's applying these technologies to that. So I guess the question that comes to mind is, sort of in the spirit of Global Entrepreneurship Week and an entrepreneurial spirit, which emerging business trends and challenges or technological areas in your mind represent or provide the most entrepreneurial opportunities? Like what is sort of the next internet? I think the internet is now pretty mature in some sense. What is sort of the next entrepreneurial area that someone with a combined engineering and business skill set could really break into? I open that up to anybody. What's the next latest and greatest?
Well, if I predicted that, I wouldn't say it. Everybody always asks that. It's the most unfair question. But there are a few that I think you should all keep in mind. And in a way, I wish I could just rewind and go back to the state in which you are right now, because there's a lot of things that, had I only known then what I know now. I guess there are several trends. First off, you asked a two-part question, I think, which is, what are the trends and how will you use it to your advantage, I think.
Or what is it about the engineering and business kind of combined skill set of positions?
I think the trends that are significant, which are going to impact you one way or the other, is the globalization aspect of things. Today you have the advantage and also the disadvantage, because if you're not clearly thinking about it, you're going to get competition from all kinds of aspects. There are no borders, so to speak, in doing business today. You used to be thinking along the lines of, well, we can launch the business in the US, and then we'll think about going to Eastern Europe, Western Europe, then maybe Japan, and then we'll figure out where else to go. The beauty of it today is that you have no global borders, right? You are able to launch businesses, unless you're in a traditional business where you have a local market and so on. You have the advantage of launching a business that has global reach instantaneously. And that means there's a market. That also means that you have to think about your global supply chains, right? So it's not just about hiring people and hiring resources locally. You have the ability of basically reaching across the world, whether it's procuring in China or elsewhere. You have the ability of applying technology in global borders. So that's one thing that I would say has traditionally transformed the way that businesses do, and some of these startups are taking advantage of that significantly. I wouldn't wait till you're a $50 or $100 million business to figure out, okay, now how do I go international? It's too late by then, especially in these days.